The 1990 Kangaroo Tour continues this evening. Wakefield Trinity, the Yorkshire Cup finalists, are the hosts. Their Bellevue ground is sold out for the first Australian Tour match here since 1973. Hello, very good evening to you. As you can see, it is wet up here, very wet, but little else to complain about. Almost perfect Northern Rugby League conditions, and Wakefield Trinity are going to need all their traditional Yorkshire grit to make a match of this one. Nobody is under any illusions about the might of these Australians, who feel tonight a very different side to that we saw at Knowsley Road on Sunday. Our match commentator this evening, as usual, is Eddie Hemmings. He's joined in the commentary box by Mike Stevenson, the former Great Britain hooker. Eddie.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Mike Stevenson joining me in the commentary box again tonight and hoping to see Wakefield end that run of Australian success here in Great Britain. Let's take a check on the two sides. And Greg Alexander is the fullback from Penrith. Chris Johns is on the wing. He's wearing number 2. Brad Fittler is the youngest tourist at 18. He's in 3. And Kevin Walters, his twin brother, played on Sunday. He's in the centres at 4. Dale Shearer has to prove his fitness tonight. He's on the wing, the Brisbane Broncos winger. And Cliffy Lyons from Manly wears 6. Ricky Stewart, stand by for some fireworks from this fellow. He's in 7. Glenn Lazarus plays at 8. Benny Elias is the captain tonight. He's the tour vice-captain. He's the hooker. The other prop, Mark Sargent. 11 is David Gillespie. 12, Mark Carroll, player from South Sydney. And 13, Brad Mackay. The coach, Bob Fulton. And there is Bob Fulton in the middle of your picture. Alongside him, his captain, Mal Meninga. And that is where the Australian test lineup will be watching this match from tonight. This is the side that's up against them. And Chris Perry plays at fullback in place of the injured Kevin Harkham. David Jones is on the wing. The club's recent big money signing from Wigan, Jed Byrne, plays in the centres alongside Phil Eden. Andy Mason, leading scorer with 5 tries this season, is on the wing. Tracy Lazenby, man of the match in the recent Yorkshire Cup final at standoff half. And the scrum half, Mark Conway. And he will be doing the kicking tonight. Harkham is out. Adrian Shelford, the big Kiwi, is the prop forward at 8. John Thompson is the hooker, the longest serving player here. Nigel Bell is number 10. Andy Kelly, the club captain, was 11. And another newcomer in 12, Nick DeToy, former Wigan and Barrow player. He plays tonight. And Gary Price, one of the brightest prospects in the British game, is the loose forward. And no stranger to the Australians is the Wakefield Trinity coach, David Topless. Well, it's a gruesome night here in Wakefield, but the locals have taken the field first. And as you can see, a huge crowd in here, all ticket, and they've come to see these fellows. The 1990 Australian tourists, albeit the midweek side, but you know there are 7 internationals in that Wednesday night lineup that Bob Fulton has put out for this match. And there is Benny Elias, the tour vice-captain, captain of this midweek side. And look, he looks just a bit pumped up because, you know, there are no doubt test places are up for grabs here tonight. It's really not Sydney weather. It has been pouring with rain most of the day, but the pitch is in perfect condition for this match. And there is the referee, Kevin Allott from Southport, his biggest day prior to tonight, the Premiership final of 1987. So big night for him and a big night for the public of Yorkshire as the two sides shake hands and just sort out the pre-match preparations. Well, Mike Stevenson is back on home soil. He is a Yorkshireman by birth, living now in Sydney, and you know these Australians inside out. And I wonder whether they will slip up against Wakefield Trinity here tonight.
Well, I doubt it, Eddie. They're a very, very good outfit, this Kangaroo side, and quite frankly, I think it's probably the best team to ever leave the Australian shores. You mentioned in this second string lineup, well, when you've got 7 fully capped players on an Australian side, well, that just shows the depth that they've got on the Kangaroo side. And you mentioned earlier in there, well, a big day for those 3 young fellows. They certainly won't forget that. And Benny Elias, the captain, of course, was the captain of a lot of the games in the previous tour. And I spoke to Benny earlier today, and he's very, very keen to ensure that he has a great game today to try to press for a test spot. He's been on the Wilderness ever since the Brisbane hooker Walters took over, but he's really keen to make sure that he presses his claims tonight.
So as we say, there's no doubt the test places are up for grabs. First test, don't forget, October the 27th at Wembley. Mark Conway is the man who's going to get this match in progress. Big night for these Wakefield Trinity boys, 4th in the First Division, and perhaps not many of them will get the opportunity of facing the Australians again, so they're out to make a bit of a reputation here if they possibly can. We're all set. The referee then checks his watches, and Mark Conway gets this second match of the 1990 Kangaroo Tour underway. And Wakefield Trinity will be quickly into the tackle in these early moments, but to be fair, that's exactly what we saw at St Helens on Sunday. It really is a question then of whether not only can they hold Australia, but can they turn the possession that they might get into some point advantage. Benny Elias caught shepherding, crossing in front of the Wakefield Trinity players, so a penalty in the first 30 seconds here to Wakefield. It's right in front of the posts, about 32 metres out perhaps, and well, we saw a similar situation on Sunday when St Helens had to employ an emergency kicker. Mark Conway, though, this time is no stranger to taking pot shots at goal. So Wakefield could be off to a real flyer here.
Well, it certainly lifts their spirits. They certainly need it. The conditions obviously will not favour the Australians.
And this is an important kick, even though it's just a minute into the match, because it will settle the nerves. And if Mark Conway can slot this over, well, there'll be an enormous cheer around this Bellevue ground. Here he comes. And he's slotted it, so that's a great start for Wakefield. They're ahead by 2 points to 0. It's only Mark Conway's second goal of the season. He's kicking the goals tonight as an emergency because Kevin Harcombe is out injured. But as you can see, straight between the posts, Harcombe wouldn't have done any better himself.
Certainly not. Right over the black dot, and that's what the Yorkshire boys wanted.
So now they will have to drive the ball out of their own territory. Oh, and there's a bad mistake, and immediately the Aussies swoop on it. And this is where they are so dangerous. They force the errors. Brad Fittler, the man in possession. That is Cliffy Lyon, the ball working across the face. Tall man he is, Mark Carroll. Well brought down, though. Kevin Walters, the dummy half. It's David Gillespie and Shelford and Kelly and Conway using their weight to force him back a couple of metres. Benny Elias at dummy half. Penalty, though, to the Australians for that challenge by the 3 players. And this is the reason why.
Well, I can understand the referee. He let 3 of them have a go in there, and they just pulled the player down. And that's silly tactics by Wakefield.
So a penalty to the Australians, and Greg Alexander, who had such a magnificent season back home, taking Penrith to their first ever grand final. Not normally a fullback, but having to slot into this superstar Australian lineup wherever he can, playing fullback tonight.
Yes, he'll be the super sub for the Australian tourist this particular tour. He played about 9 games for Penrith early in the season at fullback and proved to be a sensation, a man that's gained in confidence this year.
Here he comes then to try and level the scores, and he manages it quite successfully. So Greg Alexander levels things up. 3.5 minutes gone, and it's 2 points apiece. Wakefield Trinity 2, Australia 2.
Alexander, of course, the ideal man to bring on as a substitute, and I feel that if he doesn't force his way into the test spot, he'll definitely be one of the 4 as a reserve.
Australia defending this impressive record here in Great Britain. 33 games in succession they have won in this country since 1978. They completely trounced St Helens on Sunday, as you would have seen on the Sports Channel. And the scrum down awarded by the referee, and head and ball to Wakefield, and they're deep inside the Australian 22. So here they come, Lazenby with the opportunity to run at Australia for the first time. Such a match in the Yorkshire Cup final a couple of weeks ago. They play an important part here today, as will the conditions. I think you saw Wakefield fumble the ball there, but Gary Price held on. David Jones, man in possession, right on the 22. Bell, Conway, Shelford, right down the middle. That's where you'll see him doing all the running today, and this is good play from Conway. Oh, the referee was in the way there. Managed to unload. Ball drops to ground. And Elias having a word with the referee, and it comes out again. Cliffy Lyons battling away for it. Referee says it was a knock-on. Another scrum.
Well, a little unlucky there for Wakefield, but good play by the half, Conway. And if they run from dummy half, they can cause a few problems for the Australian side. And they're not packing in straight there.
So a penalty to Australia at the scrum. Adrian Shelford, the giant number 8 for Wakefield there in your picture. But this is the danger man, I fear, tonight for Wakefield, Ricky Stewart. The Canberra Raiders scrum half. He had a magnificent game in the grand final. He's a player with great influence on the match. And this is Glenn Lazarus, the man you may remember Mike Stevenson told you almost missed the plane because of his wedding the day before the Kangaroos left for the tour. And no love lost between Lazarus and Adrian Shelford here.
Well, Lazarus showing his strength. He certainly wasn't held, but this was rather foolish of him. He should have come back inside, especially in slippery conditions.
Yes, I rather fancy the conditions will play an important part tonight. It has been teeming down with rain here in the north of England throughout the day. The pitch is bound to be greasy. The ball will be like a piece of soap. Wakefield get possession from that scrum. Lazenby trying to make inroads, but a good tackle. And Australia caught offside. Inside the 5. So a penalty to Wakefield Trinity.
Both sides just feeling their way through into this game. A bit of excitement out there. Of course, with the conditions, Australia, I feel sure, will use Stewart with a big, long kicking game. Fulton, the Australian coach, we want the game played right in the Wakefield half.
Lazenby's kick, that was a bad kick, and that was well held over on that far side by Chris Johns. It was a bad kick from Lazenby. He didn't find touch, and Johns caught it about the second or third attempt. So the Australians quite good from their point of view, but dreadful from Wakefield's point of view. They're back in possession. Elias. Here they come again. Mackay, great ball to Mackay, but it was a forward pass, I think. The referee's whistle has gone anyway and is bringing the players back.
Just a little one there, and you see Mackay left it a little bit too late. Fittler overrunning. But you'll notice that the Australians are taking the first receiver very wide and using the strong second rows, running hard outside.
Chris Perry in possession for Wakefield. He's an Australian. He was discovered playing with the local amateur side nearby here. And he will be anxious to impress his fellow countrymen here tonight. Wakefield must hold on to this ball for 6 tackles if they can. Phil Eden doing well, Wakefield, keeping the ball alive. Lazenby, that was a dangerous pass from his scrum half Mark Conway. Long pass, didn't really give him any possible hope at all. There's the ball, bounced just in front of him, see, on the turf. It's very slippy. He just slipped through his fingers. So here come the Australians again. Shearer out to prove his fitness tonight. Dale Shearer. Alexander, the dummy half. Here's the big forward, Mark Carroll, scrum cap on. Elias. Good run from Gillespie. Hauled down by Kelly. Elias again. There's Lazarus. That's good tackling. Nigel Bell doing well, helped out by Lazenby. Stewart to Lyons. And inside then to Mark Carroll. We've seen a lot of the ball early on here. Elias is the man, though, who organises from dummy half. Little kick ahead from Stewart. And Perry is the man who gets to it first. And so Wakefield now will try and work that ball away from their own try line.
That was a good play by Nick DeToy there. Good kick through there and diving onto the ball.
But as you can see, they've not made too much progress. And that's 3 tackles gone. So Wakefield really are up against it to get that ball away from the danger zone. They've decided to run it. And that is the last tackle in this set. So Wakefield have to kick, that they do. Conway, but it's right down the throat of Greg Alexander. And this fellow can move a bit. He's a crafty player. That was good tackling. 10 minutes gone. Wakefield 2, the Australians 2. But here come the Aussies once again. Fittler, just 18. Look at the size of him. Elias from dummy half. Lazarus coming forward too on the blind. This is Fittler again. Great ball from into Fittler's arms there. This now is Stewart. Stewart, where he's gone round Lazenby, he's got a man out on that far side. There's another one coming in support. That's Sargent. Sargent heading for the corner, and I think Sargent's over for the first try. Mark Sargent, first try, sliding in on the wet turf. His momentum taking him over the line. He touches down in the corner. They will be delighted on that Australian bench.
Good support play by the Australians here. Stewart throwing the dummy, breaking it through, just dummied, pitches the ball over the top. And watch the big man from Newcastle, Mark Sargent. The weight and, of course, the slippery conditions. Now watch Stewart throwing the dummy. There's no one there. And John's an easy switch round with the big fellow coming out wide. Good try. Notice Stewart again, and you'll notice that Wakefield has drawn the man in, and Johns just offloads to Sargent, and there's no one at home there. Too late in for the first try.
So Mark Sargent with the first try of the evening. Newcastle Knights. He plays 4 back home. Greg Alexander will try and add the extras, but it's a difficult kick in these conditions. But what a superb kick from Alexander. Great stuff from the man who came over in '86 as the 3rd choice halfback. And tonight playing at fullback, he slotted over the extra 2 to give us that situation. Wakefield 2, Australia 8, 12 minutes exactly on the watch.
Pretty ominous for the Wakefield side. They have to watch the running from dummy half of Ben Elias.
And they have to watch this fellow too, Brad Fittler. From Penrith, the youngest player on the tour. Taking 2 to bring him to ground there. Stewart with the kick. Lovely action from Stewart as he kicks. He's a former Wallaby, of course, toured Argentina with the Australian Rugby Union players, but my word, the chasers close in on the man in possession, and they push him out wide, and Mackay there taking the tackle and sliding Perry over the line. It was Johns actually, and Mackay completing the job, sliding him over the line, another scrum down. Great chasing from Australia once again. They're so fit. That's good switching play. Alexander, he's got Shearer out on this near side. Good tackle though coming in from David Jones, bringing the big Aussie down. This is Alexander though, the momentum keeping going. Lyons, long pass from him. There's the prop forward, Sargent, try scorer. Elias again. This is Carroll. Elias, the man who organises from dummy half, see. And this now is Gillespie on the blind side. And just to slip the ball out, but the tackle was completed. Penalty to Wakefield.
A little bit overconfident there, the Australians, but look at this wonderful inside pass by Stewart. And that's the confidence of this side, even in these wet conditions. And there was the, the penalty. And maybe the referee a little bit too hastily.
Penalties going Wakefield's way so far, 3-2 in their favour. And there's another one for offside. So that's good news for Wakefield, but Kevin Allard quickly on to the mistakes and the penalties. Well, some might say he's giving the Australians a hard time.
I think a lot of referees are going to give the Australians a hard time on this tour, but Wakefield really want to get back into this game, and I'm sure that their coach Dave Topless would have seen the game last Sunday. And St Helens made quite a few inroads with a little chip over. I'm sure that Wakefield will use that sometime during the day.
At the moment, though, they intend to run the ball. This is Thompson. Gary Price, the man in possession now. That was Mason. The ball moving quickly across the line. This is good play from Wakefield. Kelly, their captain, can't go anywhere with 3 round him. Laid back to Lazenby. Well, he needs a bit of chalk on it, perhaps. And straight up in the air. Lazenby's followed his own kick-up. Good play. And they get the ball back. That all went backwards, so the referee waves play on. Jones is out on this near side. He's got to go round Shearer. Does so. Good run from Jones. Comes out of trouble well. Conway, good run from him. Oh, and they left the ball behind. Thompson had to be brave and was. Lyons all over him. Keeping the ball alive well. Kelly, long pass out to the far side. Mason with the kick ahead. Oh, and the ball really is like a bar of soap. And it goes out of play. And a penalty to Wakefield, as Mason was pulled back as he went to field his own kick here.
Well, yes, Mason, good kick. He goes for it. Lyons making a meal of it. And Lyons being adjudged to pull back Mason as he attempted to get that ball. But good play by Wakefield.
And they've decided to run the penalty and not try and take the 2. They're going for 6. No love lost between Shelford and Lazarus, is there? Oh, great run from Nigel Bell. He's almost over the line, but they're just held up. Bell just held up. Wakefield have got a chance here, though. They must be over this time now. Did he ground it? Dutoy, he is grounded it. And that's the first try for Wakefield. And the referee right on the spot. And it's brought this crowd at Bellevue really to their feet. The big South African, Nick Dutoy, former Wigan player and Barrow player, has gone over underneath the sticks for the first try for Wakefield Trinity. Now, did he ground it? The referee says he did. He was right there, see?
He was Johnny on the spot. Good play by Wakefield here. They run through, beautiful step. And you see from this resulting play of the ball now, they can't get him down. Good tackling to keep him over into the field of play. And we see Shelford drop into the dummy half, and from that position, the South African Dutoy went in for the try.
And so Conway has this kick to add the extras, and does so. So, we really do have a match on our hands here then. And this is the try again, Mike.
Yes, good play by Shelford. It wasn't the best of passes, but the strength of this man went through. Mackay couldn't hold him. And the referee was Johnny on the spot. And isn't he excited? And why not?
Well, indeed so, because it's leveled the scores up after 18 minutes on the clock. It's 8 points apiece. And that was Dutoy's first try for Wakefield Trinity. It couldn't have come at a better moment.
No, it's just the fillip they needed. And I think this Wakefield side are beginning to realize that if they keep this ball alive, anything could happen.
Long way to go yet, of course, but it's all square. And just 18.5 minutes on my watch. And you know that here in Yorkshire on this wet and miserable night, they've got the scent of a little bit of history. That's a better catch from Chris Johns. That was good tackling from Phil Eden. Now then, have the Aussies been stung? Lazarus. Elias again. Big David Gillespie. There are plenty of mistakes here on both sides. Who has got possession? The referee says Wakefield have. Don't find too many arguing inside Bellevue tonight. Thompson with the driving run. And he dropped that one. That must be a knock-on. No, the referee says no. Or he's just consulting with his linesman. Yes, a knock-on. Thompson's not happy. The referee... Well, it's not a knock-on at all. He had the ball ripped out of his hands.
Well, that's a new ruling from me. I've never seen a referee actually look at the touch judge to see what he should rule on like that. I thought they just looked after the the white line on either side of the field. But it certainly was Elias that pulled the ball out, and the Australians are rattled.
Yes, Wakefield really do have them on the ropes here. Gary Price. Much hope for Gary Price, of course, and that was a little ambitious from the try-scorer Du Toit. Surrenders possession back to the Australians. Johns on that far side. Well brought down, though. Good cover tackling from Wakefield. Du Toit, see the man who made the error. Back trying to tidy up. Here's Lazarus again, using his weight and strength. And my word, he's a fearsome sight in that green and gold jumper. Elias very much the organiser from dummy half. Here is Mark Carroll. Surprise choice to many, Mark Carroll. His club, South Sydney, finished bottom of the Winfield Cup table. Mark Sargent. Elias again. There's Stewart, and now Lyons. Nice ball inside from Lyons, keeping it going well. Good play from Australia. This is Kevin Walters. This is the last tackle. So what will Australia do here? Stewart, little kick ahead, going for in goal, and a touchdown behind the line. Have they watched the referee's decision? Well, they think they've scored a try, but the referee said that he'd lost it, and we can maybe see the reason why here.
Beautiful kick by Stewart, and well positioning by Johns. And, well, did he ground it or did he lose it? Referee said he lost it. Sigh of relief by the Yorkshire crowd.
I think looking at that, he just had it on the wrong side of the line from an Australian point of view. As he went over the whitewash, the ball spewed out of his brace. And look at Du Toit there with his nose bleeding from the challenges. And the referee wants a word with Mark Carroll.
Well, there's a lot of talking going on out there, and quite frankly, the Australian forwards, they're being rattled by a little bit of professionalism by the Wakefield side. You notice they keep slagging off to each other, saying the odd word, and they're being sucked into it.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It will be a famous night here in Yorkshire if Wakefield pull this off here. They have the best possible man, though, in charge of them at Wakefield, David Topless. He's met them 7 times before as player and coach. He's been on the losing side 6 times, but won a test match at Wembley in his career, David Topless. Australia then looking rattled here. We're midway through this first half. Are the conditions helping Wakefield, do you think?
I think they are, but Australia have only got themselves to blame, and I'm sure that the message from Fulton will go out to look, just settle things down, use the forwards, let's not do anything fancy. They realise they've probably got the fitness, the edge in that department for later in the game.
Here's Cliff Lyons. That's a good ball. So is that. This is Shearer. Good tackling, though, from David Jones and Lazenby. Lyons again. Shearer still there in support. Good sidestep. This is the last tackle. So what will the Aussies do here? Stewart will hoist the kick underneath the posts to test Perry. Has it gone too far? Oh, the ball has bounced kindly for the Australians, and that's brilliant following up by Chris Johns. And Perry lost that completely, and Johns swooped in. One bounce, collected it, touchdown. He won't score an easier try all tour.
Well, this is what a football can do to you. Perry, well, he probably has to hang his head in shame here. He slowed down, expecting it to just go on. He should have tried to force it. An easy try. But look at the height that Stewart gets with this, a la rugby union. And really, Perry should have accelerated there. He shouldn't have let the ball even have the opportunity to do that. And Chris Johns won't get an easier one on the tour.
So just when it looked like they were rattled, Johns goes over for the try, and Alexander adds the extras, and the Australians are back in front. Bad mistake by Chris Perry. I wonder, had Kevin Harkin been there, would that have been the situation that we have now? 14 points to 8 in Australia's favour. Well, dreadful conditions here at Wakefield Trinity. Let's check what it's like on the pitch side, and Peter Hutton can tell us.
Well, the rain stopped down here, but we can reveal the secret behind Chris Johns' try. He was having problems early on getting his footing. He had short rubber boots on at that point. He couldn't get the grip on the pitch, so he's got longer studs from down here. Because of that, he got the grip and able to go in for the try. One of the visitor to the touchline, Phil Eden of Wakefield, just a bit of strapping to his wrist, but otherwise no problems down here. Well, the rain is now beginning to come back again.
I think it's going to be one of those nights as far as the rain is concerned. But interesting that. Change of footwear for Chris Johns, it did the trick.
Well, I'm surprised that he actually went onto the onto the pitch in the first place without long sprigs. It's been raining in Yorkshire all day.
25 minutes gone then, the Australians back in front. But Wakefield not out of this, and that's a better catch by Chris Perry. And Australia had moved up inside the 10-metre mark, caught Perry, and so offside. It's a penalty to Wakefield Trinity.
And a correct decision by the referee here. He really didn't give this guy much chance. So, was it 5 yards? Well, the referee says no.
Penalties make an interesting count already. 8 to Wakefield, only 2 to Australia. So the referee, as they say, down under, bagging them a bit, isn't he? Big Andy Kelly. Well offloaded. Gary Price.
Wakefield really have to throw caution to the wind here to get back in. They have to score a try before the half-time break. They can regroup, get the spirits ready for the next 40 minutes.
Wakefield in possession then, in midfield, but Chris Johns, the scorer of that try, we understand, has got his problems. Peter Hutton has all the details.
Well, the situation with Johns is that his left knee appears to be giving a few problems. He's limping on it quite badly. The physio waiting to get on and see him as soon as this attack's broken down. But Johns is certainly in trouble.
It didn't look as though there was much wrong with him when he hurtled after that kick ahead, but that was a good kick from Wakefield, pushing Australia back inside their own 22. And here it is from Mark Conway. Saw the gap behind the Australian defence. 3 bounces and a little roll, and it beat Greg Alexander. And so we have this scrum down, just 10 yards short of the Australian line. Great push on, and they've done well. The ball has come out on Trinity's side. Mason. Oh, and, well, what happened there? I just can't possibly believe that Mason allowed that ball to be pinched from him like that.
Well, I think Mason left the ball on the ground in the hope that he was going to play it back with his foot. And the Australian said, thank you. Bad mistake there.
Unbelievable. And this is where the Australians got the ball back.
No, it was definitely lost before then. Referee, correct. But Lions couldn't believe it. It's a gift. They can't afford that.
And Wakefield can't afford to do that either by conceding penalties in the danger zone as far as they're concerned. What a good player this fellow is, Ricky Stewart. He really does kick well. Perhaps harks from his rugby union days, as you intimated earlier on, Mike.
Yeah, he's a great player, but this Australian side isn't getting it all their own way. They realise that. Bell just come up, pulled off another great tackle. He's tackling his heart out, this guy.
There's Stewart again. Long pass to Lyons. Stewart and Lyons at the hub of everything that the Australians are doing, and oh, Cliff Lyons furious with the referee, back chatting to him. Not only has he conceded a penalty, he's conceded another 10 yards.
Well, this is the type of thing that we're not used to with the Kangaroo Tour. He did use him as a shepherd, Shearer actually didn't run in front of him, but he did push the Wakefield player away, preventing him to get anywhere near Lyons. And those silly penalties will be giving their coach Bobby Fulton plenty to talk about at the half-time break.
Good driving run from Shelford, but the referee's whistle has sounded. 2 of the Australian players left in Shelford's wake.
It was intimated that it was just a touch forward. You'll see it on the replay, but well, there was no argues with that one, was there? Elbows went all over the place.
Referees just held the clock up while running repairs are done to Mark Carroll. Nasty bang on the eye that he's received.
Not surprising what an elbow can do. And there's quite a bit of claret coming out on the players there tonight.
Certainly is. And that looks a bad cut. Shelford is cut as well. Carroll has received that cut, Mark Carroll. And so there really is just a look at the blood that's pouring down Shelford's face, but he doesn't want any dressing on it. This is perhaps the reason why.
That really was a heavy collision.
Clash of heads, I think, the way Shelford's holding his eyebrow there. So, blood streaming down the face of Shelford.
Well, I don't think the players will be happy with this, especially the Australian ones. They're not used to this. The game continues on back in Sydney.
Well, he's got the scub cap on there, but well, it's a hard game, isn't it?
Not a game for sissies.
Australia get possession from the scrum. It's Mackay. This is Lyons. Oh, he shrugged the challenge off easily. Good play. Here they come again. Shearer. Well done, Wakefield, though. They forced the man into touch.
That was good cover tackling, and there's an all-in brawl. Forget the game. You're seeing the replay here. Good defence by Wakefield, but oh, the players are all running in.
John Thompson's involved.
And believe you me, they're not exchanging addresses.
Lenny Elias and John Thompson having to be separated by the players of both sides. They're the 2 hookers, 2 fine little characters. And I think the referee will have to have a conference with his touch judge to find out what went on there. As the ball moved away from the scrum, the 2 players were scrapping and fighting and battling on the turf.
Well, it was brewing, Eddie. There's been a lot of talk out there, and there's been some cheap shots being thrown. It had to happen. It had to erupt.
As Shelford gets running repairs. And someone's been sent off. I don't see any sign of a yellow card. Thompson has been sent off. I see no sign of a card. So is that sent off for good? And by the looks of things, Mark Carroll is off. So 2 players sent off here. Quite dramatic happenings at Bellevue. Thompson off. There he is, number 9. He'll take no further part. And Mark Carroll, who received that nasty bang on the head, needed the repairs. He too, I think, will play no further part in this match. So Wakefield and Australia down to 12 men.
Well, let's see whether that will calm things down.
Shelford, the man coming forward, missed the ball, took the player as he slid through. It was Kevin Walters, and conceded a penalty on his way.
Far from impressed, Shelford here. It's slippery conditions, no doubt about it.
The Australians trying to work the ball away. Tempers are just a little bit overflowing out there. Things are running very hot. 1 player from each side sent off. Thompson of Wakefield, Carroll of Australia. Both off, taking no further part. Penalty to Australia.
Well, once again, we see some high tackling, late tackling, knees coming in, laying all over the player.
Substitution being made. Let's get the details from Peter Hutton.
Andy Wilson, the man who's come on, and Phil Eden, the man who's come off. Phil Eden having strapping to both his wrists, and he's just gone off as a safety precaution, maybe back on second half if he can be given out.
Wakefield substitution number 16.
So Wilson comes on, Eden off. And of course the important news is that both sides down to 12 players, but here's Mackay driving his way down towards the Wakefield line. There's Elias again. Stewart, Lyons, good play. Oh, there's a gap opened up. They're in here, no problem. Kevin Walters with the try. They split Wakefield apart with that. It doesn't matter whether they have 13 or 12 players on the pitch playing like that. They just slice through defences.
Great long ball by Stewart. The spinning ball, look at that. Super. Out to Lyons. Lyons saw the gap, drew in the wingman, and Walters did the rest. And that's where you suffer. Look at all the forwards bunched in. What a great ball there from Stewart. Lyons had all the time in the world. Beautiful pass out wide. And Walters, normally a 5'8", playing in the centres tonight. Watch this. Super stuff. Come home to me. There's no one there. Lyons knows it. Draws in the wingman. He's left in no man's land. Walters does the 4 points.
Toy, the man coming in over the top to try and prevent him, but Kevin Walters over for the try. And Greg Alexander has that angle to add the extras. Just wide this time, waved away by the touch judges. Greg Alexander, reliable kicker, but not on that occasion. 4 minutes to half-time, and the Australian lead has increased to 10 points.
Well, Bobby Fulton, the Australian coach, will breathe a sigh of relief, and I'm sure in just over 4 minutes' time he'll have plenty to say to his players, because they really have been sucked in, and maybe they can get down to playing football.
Well, you say they've been sucked in, but they still have this 10-point advantage as we approach half-time. Elias, though, with a good break, good support play from Stewart. I was most impressed by Stewart during this season in Australia that we've seen here on the Sports Channel, but he won't be too pleased with that, just sliding out of play.
Once again, we see Elias running from the dummy half, and you notice there's just so much space there. I'm afraid the Wakefield defence is being sucked into the middle, and you can't afford to do that against a class side like Australia.
First touch for the substitute Wilson. Here's Lazenby. He needs to create 1 or 2 openings for his colleagues, just as he did in the Yorkshire Cup final a couple of weeks ago, a match we also saw on the Sports Channel. He was man of the match that day. He's up against different opposition here this evening. Adrian Shelford. There's the Wakefield bench. They don't look too happy. Encouragement, though, from the substitutes. No wonder, because Wakefield are in possession. They dropped the ball. Shelford picked it up. The referee said it was a knock-on. And it was big number 10, Nigel Bell. As a result of that tackle there, what a good tackle by Benny Elias. Man and ball, and forced the ball to squirm out of Bell's hands. Handling errors, Wakefield have made 8, the Australians 3. And that on a night when the conditions are, quite frankly, appalling here. Rain streaming down, greasy pitch. The ball must be like a bar of soap. And that was another error, though, from Cliff Lyons. He won't be too happy with that.
Yeah, it's a bad ball here from Lyons. He has a tendency to be the hero or the villain, and he does that quite a lot for this club side Manly in Sydney.
Look at the rain here at Bellevue, really is pouring down here tonight. Many of this crowd inside here, I can tell you, really are getting a soaking. There's not too much cover here at Bellevue. Thankfully, we're under a little bit of it. Jed Byrne, the club's record signing. Number 3, he played against the New Zealand tourists last season for Wigan. Completes the set in the blue jersey of Wakefield here tonight. Kelly, the club captain. Byrne in support. Good play. Mason. And Mason really can get motoring if he gets the chance. So can this fella David Jones, but not with tackling like that. Great tackle from David Gillespie. Copybook stuff from the Australians. Jed Byrne again, going nowhere. Last tackle. Half a minute of ordinary time to go. Lazenby's got a kick. Goes straight up in the air. And underneath it, well, players of both sides. And the errors really are coming in thick and fast. What's the referee's decision going to be here? Ricky Stewart has possession. I think that will be his decision.
Well, you can see the conditions here. The ball just like a bar of soap.
As we go into stoppage time, the Australians in possession towards the end of this first half. Great run from Gillespie. And again, another error forced by the conditions. Rain pouring down, greasy ball, slippery top, and look, just couldn't get it at the first attempt, Jed Byrne, and had he done, the field was opened up ahead of him. Penalty at the scrum, though, to Wigan. Conway deposits the ball into touch. So can Wakefield get back here as we approach half-time? Shelford with the driving run. He's come into collision with Australian jerseys many times in the past, not only for Wigan, but also for New Zealand. Here's Gary Price. Great prospect, Price. Good play. Kelly, Conway. Long pass. Oh, dangerous on a night like this. Well picked up, Wilson. Oh, and he just got the pass out, but good tackling. You see the Australian bench applauding their colleagues there for forcing the error from Wilson again.
Yes, a poor pass, but we'll see plenty of those tonight. But full credit to Wakefield. At least they realise that they've got to do something different. They've got to keep this ball alive. I know it's not the conditions for it, but if they're going to have any chance of scoring another try, they've got to keep it going.
They played a minute and a half. There's been quite a few injuries in this first half. Of course, 2 players sent off, 1 from each side, both sides down to 12 men. Here's Lazarus, good driving run. Mackay, he's got support from Alexander. The referee's called it back, though. The referee has called it back. It's no try. It's a scrum down.
Well, the breaks are coming now. Beautiful ball by Lazarus to Mackay, and another great ball, but just forward, with good support play.
And they get possession from the scrum. Stewart, and he's over for the try. Well, they got out of jail, and then they conceded possession of the scrum. Stewart picked it up, nipped round the back, over. As simple as that. Another try for Australia on this 1990 Kangaroo Tour, and an easy one from Ricky Stewart.
Yes, you saw him step there. Rowers really should have been able to hold back the halfback there.
And he certainly walked through Tracy Lazenby's challenge as well. So Australia edge further ahead, and a couple more points to come, I think. The kicker of Alexander's quality, he'll surely slot this one over, and he does. And we're deep into injury time here in the first half at Bellevue. There is the half-time siren. Alexander has added the extras, and so the Australians are ahead by 24 points to 8 here. And as the rain streams down, both sides go off for a bit of a dry, a cup of tea, and from Wakefield's point of view, they'll try and regroup and come out and give the Aussies a real go in the second half. Dreadful conditions here. Second half, though, and we'll be back after this break.